Welcome to the Invisible Wheelchair Podcast. This is Throwback Thursday. One Thursday each month, we take a trip back in time to a previous podcast. With so many new visitors to the podcast, I thought it was a good time to get back to some of the good stuff we've had from the past. So join me now as we travel back in time. This podcast was recorded November 21st, 2019. This is podcast number 35, Holiday Tips for Families Dealing with Special Needs. I wanted to go over this since we are in the midst of the holidays here, with some ideas and tips for how to handle a holiday when you're dealing with people with special needs, kids or family members with special needs. And this particular list, it says 15 stress-reducing holiday tips for families with special needs, comes from a website called friendshipcircle.org. I wanted to just kind of go over the 15 tips they talk about here and talk a little bit about each one from my own experiences too. So I want to give credit to the website, but I'm going to add to it myself. All right, number one, do not overschedule. That is to me a really big part of this because we tend to do that. We want to try to hit all the cousins. We want to try to hit both in-laws. We want to be able to do all the things to make it for an eventful holiday. And unfortunately, even for a, I don't know how to say this, a family that doesn't have special needs, overbooking yourself can be overwhelming. And then you add in any kind of special needs like OCD or any of those, and that becomes a real big problem. So try to, just to be able to say no to some people and be able to schedule yourself and pace yourself just to really enjoy the family. Number two, bring your own food and supplies to gatherings. And here's another one. Now, I know with my own children and people with special needs that food sensitivities and food diets are extremely important. So we have to go everywhere with our own food. Gluten-free, dairy-free, corn-free, dye-free are just the categories we have to watch out for. So we try not to put that burden on our relatives or our family, even though they have been more and more cooperative in doing that because they've actually seen the benefits for themselves. But we also bring a lot of our own food, and it makes it a little easier so that we're having treats that fit us when others are having treats that don't fit us. Number three, offer to buy gifts. I think that's another one where you can offer, because people don't know what to get. I have problems with that, period, when I'm dealing with somebody with a family member that I don't see that often. I don't know all their traits and skills and things they love and all that. I want to make sure to get what they want. And when you're talking about someone with special needs, there could be things that could be very helpful that the person or the child could really enjoy more because it's specially for them. So offer to your relatives, hey, look, I can help you. Just let me know what your budget is and I'll get the gifts for you. So number four, try to build as much routine as possible. That is extremely important with, I know even with OCD, to have things in order. And so you want to try to build routine into it. One I would add into that particular one is to expectations. Look at what's coming up. What are they going to be doing? And will that be a trigger for your child or your person who has the special needs? And try to work through a way of, because you don't want to take away the activity, but you do want to be able to handle it and have them be able to handle it with least amount of anxiety. Because you don't want to take away events for the family because of the situation. So think about what they're going to be doing. Find out, hey, we're going to be going here, there. What are we going to be doing during this time so that I can prep my child or prep my person to be ready for it? Number 5, ask the school or program for activities you can work on at home during break. So giving them stuff to do if they're going to a school for the special needs, there may be some activities they can take with them and do along in the holidays. Number 6, taking 2 cars. Now here's something that this was new, even thinking about this, but we've actually done this. In case they have a situation, the person with special needs gets anxiety, has to go, get out of there. You can leave the rest of the family there to enjoy their time, be able to go home, or just get out, move around, and come back. But having 2 cars is not a bad idea at all. Number 7, plan activities where there's no expectations that your special needs loved one has to behave. So again, it kind of goes back to what I was saying about knowing what they're going to do so that you can know how you can handle it and prep your a child with special needs beforehand. And are there activities that you can do where they can have their get their sensory inputs, that they can do their noises, they can do their things that can be very important. Number 8, try to schedule ample help. Asking people for help, that's the hardest thing to do when you're in a family with special needs. Asking, hey, when we do this, could you help me do this? Because I can't handle this on my own. Whether it could be, just a matter of really putting the expectation out to your husband or partner, but also to your family to saying, hey, when we do this, could you help me do this? It's always helpful to have somebody helping you along that. Number 9, avoiding crowds. That's another one. I think my kids overall are very sensitive. I've gotten that way myself, even as I got older, of being around too big of a crowd, too noisy of a crowd. You got to think about children with special needs or people with special needs. Sound, noise, smells, all of that can be very sensitive to them. So you really want to tune into what this place is going to be like, how noisy it is. There a place that they can go within the place to be quiet or to still be involved? So you really want to watch those sensitivities of sound, smells, touch, feel, because if you're in a crowd, you're bumping against people, all of that. Number 10, use the time with family to discuss plans for the future. So when maybe you get together with your family just a couple times a year, your extended family or whatever, it's a good time now to talk about, maybe things don't go as well this holiday, but you can then sit down and say, in the future when we do this, could we do this? Could we, plan events this way or that way? Or, talk about how we could work with it. You don't want to put the full burden on them of having to change everything around what they're doing. But, hey, can we find some middle ground here where you can compromise some so we can have a good holiday and not trigger my child or not overwhelm them or stuff like that. And hopefully they can understand that. Number 11, of course, is keeping calm, really working on yourself. That's what I do in my practice, is help people to learn, parents especially, how to learn to stay calm on their side of it, so the other side, even though it's exploding some, doesn't go up and you're not going along with them. Number 12 is don't be afraid to say no. This is another one. Being able to say, I'd love to go to all my relatives and see all of them when I'm in town, but that's really impossible. So being able to say, no, I can't do that one. That's just, not that I don't want to, but I just that's too much for my schedule. Like we talked about way at the beginning, really watching not to overbook yourself and learning to be able to say no. Because Christmas time, you get invited to a lot of parties that you really want to go to. Also, in the idea of saying no comes along with the idea of asking for help. Being willing to say no to things, but also be willing to ask help. So I think those two go well together and are important. Number 13, take time for yourself. Of course, that's the easiest one to say and the hardest one to do, because it's really important. It's kind of like that airplane idea, putting the mask on yourself first before you do for your children. It's important to keep your sanity. It's important to keep your calm in order to make the kids more calm, because if you get reared up, they get right behind you. Number 14, keep expectations reasonable. That, it's good to talk to your partner, your family, both immediate and extended family, about what their expectations are. What would you like to be able to do when we go there? But also keeping those reasonable. Going to 16 places in 4 days probably is not reasonable. So we have to work through what each person's expectations do and what can be done. And finally, number 15, count your blessings. It's what I've always said is, it's important to remember. I don't know if I like the term reason for the season, because most people put that to Jesus, which is part of the reason. But I think even another part of it is the idea of being with family and spending time with those that you love and enjoying that time. Some people do it by, instead of bringing or cooking all this food, they have somebody cater it, or they go to a local supermarket and get the food. So they can take the time that it takes to cook to be with family, to really enjoy family. Because that's what it's all about. It's all about being around the ones you love and treating them with love and respect. So that should be it. I hope that you have a really blessed holiday, and these things have helped you to make it a good holiday for yourself. Thank you. It's fun to travel back in time and listen to past events and podcasts. Maybe you have a story from the past about how you overcame OCD, or maybe you want to tell what you're going through right now dealing with OCD. We want to hear about it. Simply go to invisiblewheelchair.com, and on the left-hand side you'll see a little area that says Stories from the OCD Side. Click there and tell us all about it. We'll be happy to listen and put you out there. And remember, my wife and I are here to help you with your OCD and your anxiety. Simply go to familyocd.com or focushealthyfamily.com, and there you can connect with us and get a free consult to find out if we can help you. And thank you for visiting us today on the Invisible Wheelchair Podcast, and we'll look forward to your next visit with us. So thanks for coming. Take care.